Happy December! It's time for the long-awaited trunk show of Christmas quilts. These are the actual Christmas quilts that I use to decorate my home. And we're going to show you the quilts pretty quickly here at the beginning, and then we're going to show you vignettes. I'll decorate my home and let you see. This first one is a quilt that my cousin cross-stitched for me, and I added borders and quilted it. I love it. This next one, my sister, she made these peppermint blocks and gave them to me as a gift, and I just made a table runner. I love to think of her when I see it. These reindeer are from our pattern that we did last month. They're available for all of you. I love how that looks when I hang it on the wall. I can't wait to show you which one I kept. Sometimes a girl needs a new Christmas throw for the couch, and this one is made with older fabrics, but they're just timeless, and I love how this quilt turned out. I made it special for this year. This is an oldie goldie. You can tell by the old country colors, but I love tumbler quilts and I keep it. This is the one I talked about in my cross-stitch video that I'm going to tell you all about it in a little bit, but it is cross-stitch and I bought it at a thrift store and I love, love, love it. I know I have a big variety of colors in my quilt, so it's going to be fun to show you how I decorate. This one my friend sent me last year, and the ho ho ho, I cross-stitched that when I was a single girl so many years ago, and it was just turned inside out and stitched around. If you turn it upside down, it says oh oh oh. This is a paper piece tree. It's by Cindy Edgerton, and she makes 3 sizes. Sometimes I take wool ornaments and I pin them from behind, and I have actually used it as our Christmas tree when we were not in the place we could put up a real tree. Speaking of Christmas trees, a few years ago my sister and I wandered into a quilt shop, and they had this Christmas tree. It is laser cut, so you buy the white piece, and all of the rest, they're holes that were laser cut in the fabric, and I'll show you all about it when I show you in a minute. This sweet little embroidery was designed by Lynette Anderson, and I changed the words. I changed it to say, Santa's bringing presents of happiness and love. Her original one was, stars make way, Santa's on his way, hooray, it's Christmas. But I wanted it to talk about love. One of my wonderful friends gave me this as a miniature pattern for my birthday one year, and so I made it up, and it feels so Christmassy to me because of the wreaths. So those are little buttons, and I put it out every year at Christmas. I did this cross stitch in my early 20s, and I gave it to my mother, and she had it framed in her home for years and years, and when she went to her retirement home, she gave it back to me, and I put borders around it and love hanging it and thinking about her. This wool work pattern is the January truck pattern for Buttermilk Basin from a few years ago, and I did all of the wool work, but I always do this weird thing with wool work. I like to applique it on cotton, so the background of the blue is cotton, and then I like to quilt it because I love the texture it gives. This is a spool pattern that I exchanged with a group of friends for years, and these are all the Christmassy ones from years and years ago. I get this one out every year and think of that group and how fun it was to play with them. This is another rescued cross stitch from a thrift store, and I put it up now and leave it up all winter. It says, our flaky family welcomes all friends drifting through, and it's just kind of darling. I truly adore this pattern by Amy McClellan from Under the Garden Moon. It's embroidery, wool work, it's all done by hand, and of course I quilted it because I'm weird and I like how quilting looks. I'll show you more later. This next one is probably my favorite Christmas quilt of all time, and I didn't even make it. I won it in a raffle, if you can even believe it, and it's so beautiful that this is the quilt my children will fight over forever, and I'll tell you more about it when we look at it hanging on the wall. It just is stunning. She made lots of money for her raffle, and I won. Ding-a-ling-a-ling, ring a bell. It's time to go look how we decorate. The Santa has pine boughs in him and then some ornaments. Underneath, this is a paper tablecloth that just brings the color forth. And this cross stitch is one my husband made for me. It's his first and only ever cross stitch. He had a lady at work help him cross stitch for me because I told him you only give cross stitch to people you really, really love. Then we have the simplest decorating of all, the throw on the couch, and it goes with the throw pillows, so it's just comfy, cuddly, and wonderful. It's a nice place to watch movies with your family. Here, this one is placed between 2 doors, and it's all by its little self, but it holds its own. I always put them in the wall with regular pins. It only makes tiny little holes in the wall, and I figure I own the wall so that I can do this. So I just replace things on my wall all the time. This is really low to the floor, and I like a pop of color, so I just set these sweet little quilts on it to show the Christmas colors, and this is where we're going to keep our Christmas cards and gifts that are going out the door. This, I just wanted to show you, is made of rocks. The fabric underneath is just yardage made to look like a tablecloth. Using yardage in this way is one of my favorite tricks because later I can cut it up and make a quilt with it. But for now, it works beautifully. This piece hangs on the wall with pins. You can see them if you look really close in the corners. The texture on all of the characters, because they've been quilted, just makes this piece sing. Over here is an angel, and I put her on the spool block. She looks great. This tree pattern originally sat in a tree stand, but I didn't like it, so being the rebel that I am, I took it off. You can't really see the bottom. I often position the tree in a way that it looks like it's growing in the house. This is the nativity on gloves. My niece made it for me, and I just wanted you to see how clever, because she made it out of fabric, although it's all glued together. This is my favorite. It's an ideal book with the nativity. It's old. I've had it around since I was a child. The piece underneath, I bought it at a garage sale. I'm so grateful that people don't want their good stuff and I get to have it. As our favorite quilt hangs on the wall, we get to talk about it. It is iron-on applique. I'm a little bit of an applique snob, and I don't like an iron-on applique, and yet this is my favorite quilt. I adore this quilt. I really don't care if it's iron-on. It is so beautifully done, and I'm happy that this is the showpiece that we get to think about as we have this in our home. Now I get to show you a quilt you haven't seen yet. Ta-da! A big Christmas bed quilt. This pattern wonderfully shows off all my great Christmas fabrics. There's a little Grinch, a little candy, a little reindeer. I always cut my corners when I make a big quilt for my house. I cut them this way so that they don't hang and touch the floor. We put the Flaky family in the guest bathroom. The colors just seem to go perfectly here to welcome all our friends and guests. Time to go up the staircase to the catwalk. I've never had a catwalk in any other house, and I love the little space there. Here we hang this again with little pins. They just stick into the wall. So nice. For our tumbler quilt, it's with this darling little rocking chair that my Uncle Bill made, and the grandkids can play on it. I originally made this gorgeous Santa wall hanging for one of my good friends, the one who gave me the angel. And I got it all quilted. You can see there's beadwork on it, and I had to quilt it really carefully. I got it all done, and my husband said, "You can't give that away. I love it too much." And so we kept it, and I have kept it through the years. So when I look at it, I think of my friend Jane. This other beautiful one happens to be almost the exact size, so they work really well putting them next to each other. I like sometimes to hang things in threes if they look nice. I think they do look nice with this wool piece. See all three of them and how they fit perfectly on the wall together. Hanging above my next quilt is my gorgeous Santa that my daughter painted for me. And down here we have our ho ho ho. It's laying on another quilt that I haven't shown you yet. It's not really a Christmas quilt, but it shows off Santa and the ho ho ho. Run reindeer. He's running to Santa, and he's right next to him. I told you before that this one was laser cut, so I got to choose what fabric to put behind it, making my tree red. I've seen it with blue trees and green trees. And I also got to choose what borders to put on it. I feel like it's timeless. I love these fabrics so much. I hope I love it for years and years to come. You just quilt really tight on it, and it magically, mystically looks beautiful. It is so much simpler than it looks. This quilt under it is, again, not a Christmas quilt, but one I like to put out at Christmas because the red goes really well with the Christmas decor. Here's the whole catwalk. You can get a nice view of the peace and the joy. I love to sit up here and just drink some cocoa. In the corner, I have my little Amish doll with another quilt that really isn't Christmas, but it goes with the decor. The last spot I'm going to show you is, again, using yardage as a covering to make it look beautiful. Thanks for coming along on our Trunk Show Christmas tour. We hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful holiday season from Mary Mabel Market. Stay merry and creative.